Hey there, this is the Orlando Squadcast. It is your one-stop shop for all the latest news, history, and updates from the City Beautiful.
Hey, checkers.
Ooh. Yeah. The city is so huge, so there's a lot going on.
So tips, secrets, happenings, anything that's new that's happening, you're going to be hearing it here first.
Hey, thanks for joining us as we explore the vibrant culture, people, and places that make Orlando beautiful. Be ready to be in the know and stay in the know with the Orlando Squadcast. Welcome. I am your host, Mark Rawmaker, but I am not alone. This isn't a solo podcast. No, that would be boring. So I brought along my good buddy, Rob Stack. What's up, man?
Hey, Mark. So good to see you. I have to comment on your shirt. That is hysterical. I4, nope. That is brilliant.
Nope, period.
Let's
Yeah,
get
I
off
got
of
this
it.
online and I was really excited. This is one of my favorite shirts.
It's great.
I have to take it every day, but I'm still annoyed by it.
Yeah, well,
right?
it's therapy as you
is.
drive it. You know that you don't agree with what you're doing
so
right now.
agree
Yeah.
to disagree, right? Yep.
Well, we have another guest, or we have another co-host, and that is my good friend, Jonathan Spiegel. He's joining us today on the show. Hi, Jonathan.
Hello, friends. How are you?
It's so good to see you.
Good. I did not take I-4 to get here today.
Oh,
Lucky
really?
dog.
Yeah,
Would you
I
take
didn't.
429?
I took 429.
Okay.
Went Turnpike 429.
To 408?
I went over the 4.
I actually got off on Orange Blossom Trail, exit number 9, and then I hit a little bit of the Central Boulevard, and then crossed downtown underneath
like
the new I-4 Express.
Sound like you live in LA, right?
Well, you know what?
I took the 405.
I took the 101, and then I went
429
down
to
to
the
like
Turnpike,
the
the Florida
207, and then I was there in like 4 hours. But like I made it.
Good job.
But yeah, so thank you guys so much for the introduction. That's very nice of you.
Yeah.
And you know what? Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new here, we love you. You're our favorite listener. And if you haven't already, please be sure that you subscribe and hit that subscribe button. That way you will be, updated on everything that's going to be happening now. So we got a great show here.
We do have a great show. We have a guest. Our guest today is Scott Seidler.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Rob and I know him really well. He actually runs a window historical company.
Like a historic preservation company
Renovation.
for old houses. It's really cool.
So cool. He's
Yeah.
gonna talk about some cool stuff. His favorite historical districts in Orlando. He
Nice.
tells us
Yeah, he said there's 7 of them.
there's 7 of them.
I had no idea.
So yeah, we'll
Yeah,
get to that. at
he'll
the end.
enlighten you all on the historic districts of Orlando, which is really neat.
But yeah, but this past so my wife, we had a baby recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And before she gave the birth, she likes sweets a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in a 2-day span, I went to Gideon's at Disney and Gideon's downtown.
Ooh, that's a lot of sugar.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of sugar, a lot of
Yeah.
Gideon's.
Yeah.
Have you had have you?
Yeah,
guys
I've had Gideon's.
Wait,
It's great.
so Gideon's is the cookie place,
It's a
right?
bakehouse.
Yes,
The bakehouse,
Gideon's
okay.
Bakehouse.
Have
And
you
those
been to
are the big
both?
ones, right?
I've been to both. Yes, I have.
So
Are they different?
super different.
Oh, but they're the same place.
No.
One's like steampunky.
Yeah. So the one downtown is in the West End Market.
Mhm.
Okay.
And it's just like a little pop-up kiosk, and that's where the original one was. It's awesome. They have these huge cookies. They have different, and they have rotating flavors and stuff too. They actually have some dip, cookie butter dip you can buy.
Yeah, cookie butter.
But that one's really great. It's usually not that busy. Like
Yeah.
you can maybe a couple people in line. They opened one in Disney Springs, last year or a year and a half ago?
Mhm.
It's insane. Like there is a line starting at 8 a.m. that goes down the entire city of Disney Springs.
So same cookies, different
Same
venue,
cookies, same cookies, but
twice
this one,
the line.
Twice the line.
yeah, but it's an experience. You go in, it's all dark, it's goth, it's got like,
Yeah.
I mean, it is an experience.
Yeah.
It is so fun. So we stood in line. Well, I kind of walked around where they stood in line. They had an umbrella and stuff, but we stood in line for like 30 minutes for the one for the
Wow.
one in Disney Springs.
30
But they have
minutes.
different flavors. They have some different flavors there
Okay.
too.
Mhm.
But it's so cool. You can only order 6. You can't take more because a lot of people, guests will be like, I want 30 because
Yeah.
you can freeze them and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So order 6 and they have cake there. But if you have not done Disney Springs yet, you need to go just do it. Get there in the morning.
Yeah.
They also have like virtual queue lines and stuff too, but it's like a ride.
Now I want a cookie.
It's so good.
I want a cookie real.
You love
real
you love
bad.
it? You love
I
it?
love Gideon's.
What's your what do you usually get?
I mean, honestly, I do the chocolate on chocolate.
Oh yeah.
But all loved Gideon's, and thanks for sponsoring this episode. But in actuality, have y'all heard of Crumble?
Wow. Yeah. I like Gideon's better. I like the experience of Gideon's better.
Well,
I
okay,
think
the
going
experience
to
is good, but
going to Disney
Crumble.
Springs, it feels like I'm doing something magical. It feels like I'm in the wizarding
Yeah.
world of which it's 2 different places, but it feels
Yeah.
it's just an experience.
Is it a crunchy cookie, a chewy cookie,
Chewy.
a cakey cookie?
Cakey cookie.
Cakey cookie.
Cakey chewy cookie.
chewy cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys should go. It's really fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I highly
So I got to try
We go together.
Gideon's. And I got to try crumble.
I
Yeah.
guess so.
too.
Yeah.
And thank you, Crumble, for sponsoring our
Yeah,
next
we
episode.
appreciate
For our
you
next episode.
for
Yeah,
sponsoring us. All right, so let's
interesting.
get into let's go to our Ochan Throwdown.
Is it
Yeah.
time? Is
I
it
think it's
time
time
to
for the
throw
Ochan
down?
Throwdown.
Is it time to throw
We're
down?
gonna throw it down.
Let's throw it down. Who should
I'm
we
gonna
start with?
I'm going to start first with our local happenings, local
Oh,
yokel
yeah.
happenings.
Okay.
So things that are coming up that you guys can go to and enjoy with you, yourself, your significant other, your family, your cousin's brother, anybody can go with you. So
Wouldn't that just be your cousin?
no, it's your cousin's brother.
Oh, okay.
It's different. So this weekend is Memorial Day weekend coming up. You guys know that? You
Yes.
guys know that?
Yes, it is coming up.
It's coming up.
It's coming
So
up.
there's a lot of cool stuff that's going on. Obviously, the theme parks are going to have. I'm not going to always talk about theme parks, but this one is going to be cool. It's the Memorial Day 4-day weekend at Promenade at Sunset Walk down in Kissimmee, Margaritaville area.
Oh.
Yep. Have you been there before?
No, I haven't.
So from Friday, May 26th to Monday, May 29th, they have live music. They're gonna have all this kind of stuff. They're gonna have car shows every day. So they have a rock and roll tribute to the 80s and 90s, fired up car show, a pop top 40s rock and roll. They have rock and roll classics, and then they have top 40 dance and Latin rock on Monday. So it's a whole weekend. You can just go. You can go on Friday. You can go every day if you want to.
So I've been there.
Yeah,
It really is. It's a great time.
it's so fun.
And you wouldn't think that it would be like a fun outdoor venue place. I mean, there's tons of restaurants.
Right.
You can go get inside. You can have some restaurants.
Right.
But they close the street off and they basically make it just like an event for
Yeah.
the whole weekend.
Yeah.
So they have like different vendors going on. They have different vendors selling items,
Yeah,
soft
this says
retail.
there'll be stilt walkers and street performers every day, free admission and parking, rain or shine, no outside food and beverage allowed. But they have so much to you can go there. You can go to Ford's Garage or there's a sushi place there, right?
Bento.
Bento's there. You can
Yep.
eat there and then just listen to music.
Ooh,
How
that
fun
sounds
is
like
that?
Yeah,
fun.
they
Yeah,
have,
that sounds like a
and they
great
have
time.
a lot of live music. You can go into the wharf, which is like a seafood restaurant.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They've got live music in the wharf.
Yeah.
They've got live music on the street. There's another guitarist.
I think a
playing.
lot of locals are a little nervous because it feels so touristy in that little pocket of 192
Sure.
Uh-huh.
Kissimmee. But there's a lot of locals. Every time I'm there, I feel like it's a bunch of locals there. Just
Well, the
hanging
car
out.
show people are
They're all-
locals.
yeah.
They're all
Yeah,
locals.
car shows are
so
cool.
it's kind of a
Can't drive those cars for too long.
No.
You know, you got to keep the miles low.
You do,
Yep.
because then they
Yeah.
lose their value.
You can
Yeah.
only drive it to the car show, and then you have
That's
to
it.
drive it back.
Yeah.
and that's it. You can't
That's
actually
it.
drive anymore.
And usually no air conditioning.
Yeah, so I think you guys, I think our listeners we should go do that. Go do
That's
that.
awesome.
It's
That's
gonna be
a
fun.
That's a great
great
local
experience.
Let's
Yeah.
throw it to the park narc, the theme park. What are you
give
gonna
us the tips?
Yeah, theme park
Well,
tips.
ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between them, and the park narc advice for this time is, so Universal Studios is now going to be opening up. They're not really too sure when right now, but they're going to be doing a villains area as well in the Universal area. Yeah, it's going to be right across from Minions Mayhem,
Okay.
where Shrek 4D
yeah.
used to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw this.
So they just got done. They shut down Shrek. God bless his soul, and we love you, Shrek. And that is now going to be. It's going to be a whole entire thing where they talk about the villains from the Minions movies and things like that.
Right, that bat. That what's that? What's that?
Gru?
One of the 70s? No, the 70s movie. They're like all based in the 70s. Gangsters in the 70s with like big afros and sideburns.
Anchorman.
Oh, Dick
No.
Tracy.
No, it's literally a DreamWorks cartoon.
Oh, if you know, comment in the links below.
Wait.
Look it up.
What
Look
is
it up right now.
Keep talking.
But anyway, so that's going to be opening up here soon as well. And then we also know that they're going to be, and they shut down the old place where the Curious George area was and all that stuff over there back behind ET. Now, rumor has it that that's going to be some sort of expansion that might be maybe extending out, a little bit of the DreamWorks area, or that might be a new little playground area. Not really sure what that's going to be, but that's going to be shut down as well. So things are shutting down. Hopefully they're going to be getting replaced and things like that. But the newest news is going to be Villains Mayhem area across from the Minions area.
And did they say like when, any timeline or?
No, I believe it's going to be sometime this year though.
Okay.
I believe it's going to be sometime this year.
Wow.
And you can bet your bottom dollar that Halloween Horror Nights will definitely have some cool spooky stuff going on outside of there.
will.
That's right on
It's
the main
been
track.
years since I've been to Halloween Horror Nights.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you should go. It's been years for me too.
I think the last time I went was with you.
Yeah.
A
think it
long
was.
time
It
ago.
was.
I think you only had like one or two kids.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
We should
Yeah,
all
I love
go.
it though. We should go.
Well, if you go, you got to get that pass.
The scare pass.
Yeah, the scare pass. You
Yeah,
can
it's
go
expensive.
quickly.
They're going to do that.
Yeah.
I
You
know.
get your time
if you're
back,
gonna do
I guess.
it. Yeah, because I think most people can only make it one or two.
That area is going to be cool. We were there a couple months ago with
Mhm.
my kids, and I could see them building all that stuff. It's going to be super cool.
Yeah. I mean, Minions has like a huge freaking following. Like
surprisingly,
Illuminations are the
huge
movies.
illuminations. Yeah, that's the studio. Massive following.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
They make great movies too.
They do.
Well, let's.
That's just a little bit of business that's going to be happening.
Thanks
No
for that
secrets,
update.
but I just want to make sure you guys know what's going on.
I didn't know when it was coming. So
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Time for
Rob, I
progress.
think you're going to give us some progress.
I'm going to give you some progress.
All right.
We're going to talk progress.
I'm ready for progress.
Let's see if this is progress.
Okay.
Okay, now this one isn't new, but it's definitely worth talking about. It's a joint project between Unicorp, which is an Orlando-based developer, and Bancorp, which is the current tenant and owner of the Fashion Square Mall. There are plans to redevelop the 50-year-old Fashion Square Mall on East Colonial Drive into a mixed-use indoor-outdoor entertainment, dining, and soft retail space. The project being discussed would be a complete redevelopment of the Fashion Square property that would include apartments, bars, restaurants, and other retail uses. With one possible exception, the Macy's department store is going to stay. But they're going to redevelop the area and make it like an indoor-outdoor kind of
hangout.
Kind of like
Like a little
probably
city, little town.
like a little town, like maybe like a Winter Park Avenue.
I think that sounds great. That area needs it. Any mall. Anytime you say the word mall, it needs to be updated.
I think that whole area was feeling really outdated because you've got that strip of malls like Sam Ash is over there, and that's like that really old strip. So I think it's high time that they do redevelop that.
Yeah, for sure. Put some money into it a little bit.
Yeah,
because it's such a heavy populated area.
Right.
I mean, it's the center of Orlando.
But it's probably going to be chains. It's probably going to be the chains that we
that's
all
okay.
see.
Yeah, but iDrive's kind of like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even
we have iDrive, so like
that's true. Well, it's kind of it's not too far from iDrive though.
No,
it's kind of an extension from
it's
iDrive.
not.
I think it's progress.
I think it's definitely progress for the area.
Yeah, I think it's progress for the area. I don't know if it's progress for like
Orlando
itself,
right?
Because it's just one more of those things that we already have,
right?
If they found another use for the space besides doing that type of thing, that'd be cool, you know. For instance, you know, I'm just talking off the top of my head. What if they opened up the mall space for having donations for used lipstick?
Right.
We need more of that.
Yeah,
here
that
in
makes
Orlando.
like
how many times do you see half-used lipstick
just on the floor,
lipstick containers on the ground? You're like, I wish there was a place for this.
Yeah, can we recycle
they could
those?
reopen the whole mall though, right?
They could reopen the whole mall. I mean, think about it. You have
Yeah, that makes
mascara,
sense.
you have lipstick, you have those cotton things.
Yeah,
It's exhausting. You know,
I think when the fashion mall sponsors us, we can talk to them about that.
Yeah, I'd really like that. Given the name,
I think that's
Fashion
progress.
Mall.
I think progress. Stamp progress.
Stamp progress.
For
Progress.
the area.
Yeah,
Okay.
progress.
Maybe not for the locals.
All right,
Maybe for the locals.
maybe for the locals.
Yeah.
More of the same. That's what I feel like. More of the same for the locals.
Listen, it's money in, it's redevelopment,
Yeah.
it's fresh, it's
Jobs.
new,
Jobs.
it's jobs.
Yep.
Yes, it's lots of jobs.
You guys want to get to our guest?
I'm excited to learn about historic preservation.
Me too.
Is he going to bring in any old windows?
Ooh, that would be cool.
That would be. I think
Yeah.
we have
Space.
some in this building right behind
I
us.
think we do.
And
We
he can
should-
talk about that.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Carlos, would you mind if we broke one of those windows and took it down over here?
For test purposes.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, we
All
got
right,
the
let's
okay.
go talk. Let's talk to Scott. All right, we are pumped for our next guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next guest, Scott Seidler, the founder and CEO of Austin Historical. Scott founded Austin Historical back in 2010 after noticing the need for a company that specializes in serving the unique needs of historic building owners across the southeastern United States. Scott's passion for historic preservation began in the late 1990s when he began restoring historic buildings. He even attended the Yester Morrow Design Build School in Vermont to study historic preservation.
Oh.
Yeah. He's also an active member of the historic preservation community and has served on the boards of Orlando Historic Preservation, Window Preservation Alliance, and Paramore Main Street District. We are honored to have Scott on as our guest, and he's going to share a bunch of wealth and knowledge and his experience in historic preservation. I said historic preservation a lot in that intro, but we're excited. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, Scott. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here, guys. Good to see you all.
Historic
man.
preservation.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to keep saying that.
Every time you say historic, you have to take a drink.
You have to
Take
take
a
one drink.
It's vodka.
Yeah, so we've known, Rob and I have known Scott for a long time. So fun fact, we all used to perform at Disney World together.
Yep.
A little history about that. So speaking of that, what brought you to Orlando, Florida?
Disney.
20
years ago this year.
20 years
I
ago.
got a job. I was up in New York as a typical starving artist, and I was like, it's cold, it's winter, and they offered me a job at Beauty and the Beast at Disney, and I was like, yes, please. I'll
Yeah,
take 1
done.
year down there. I'll get a tan. I'll make some money and I'll go back to New York. And 20 years later, I'm still here.
That's a common story for
Yes.
Disney performers.
I know
All the
we have
time.
the same
All of them.
story.
Be like,
When I came
10
here,
years. What the heck?
Just a couple years. I'll do
Yeah.
a couple contracts. And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm still here.
3 kids later.
right?
What happened?
Right. Yeah, full business later. So let's talk about how do you go from being a professional actor at Disney to restoring old homes?
I love this, 'cause
I
I
don't
watched
know.
it happen.
Do you know somebody like that?
No, I
This is
don't.
Super. Now you do.
I watch shows like This Old House. You
Yeah,
know,
this is way
I've
separate.
heard about you on things like PBS, but I've never met someone like you in real life.
Yeah, no, I went from being on stage for like, I thought like really exciting stuff to like the dorky stuff, like historic preservation. It was like, I'm on the board of the Window Preservation Alliance. It's like a group of nerds who like windows and decided like we should form an organization about old windows. New windows? No, not those, just old windows. Okay. You know, it's a really small niche, but most of the people in that industry, there's probably in the country 300 or 400 companies that do window restoration. It's not huge, but it's a small niche, and most of us were the only ones doing it in our area.
And you're passionate too.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're
Passionate
totally
group.
like. What made you? What created that passion?
When I got married in 2009, and my wife and I bought an old house, and I was like, okay, was always handy. My dad was a contractor. My grandfather was a painter. So I knew how to do that stuff. And I was like, we bought a fixer upper, and I was like, I'm going to start working on it.
Mhm.
This will be great. And then the weekends and
What year was
working-
it built?
1929.
1929. Cool.
And so working at Disney, I had a pretty easy schedule there with the shows. I'd do some half days. I was like, I can come home, do this project or something. And then I started taking vacation time and working on the house. But I couldn't find any contractors who wanted to work on an old house. I'd be like, I need this window repaired. And they'd be like, well, you just get new vinyl windows. I was like, no, this is a 100-year-old window. I want to keep this window. And they're like, nobody does that. Okay, fine. Same thing with plaster. I was like, I need some plaster repair. I was like, nobody does plaster repair. Just take that down and put up drywall. And I was like, but it's 100 years old. It's lasted this long. And so every contractor was like, oh, get rid of that siding, get rid of the windows, get rid of the plaster. And I'm like, these are all the reasons I bought this stinking house, is that I like the character of it.
I remember when you bought the house, and I remember you had a book that you brought, and you were like, nobody knows how to do it, so I'm going to learn.
I got so frustrated.
Yeah.
And I feel like most businesses are born out of that frustration or nobody is doing this for me, so I'll just do it myself.
Yeah, so there was a market there.
Yeah. And I had neighbors who were like, that looks great. Can you help us?
Yeah.
And I was like, sure, I'll help a neighbor. And then when it was like a friend of the neighbor, I was like, no, I don't know you. So I'll do it. I'll charge you. I like it. It's fun. And so I started doing it. And then I was like, hold on, I think there's a opportunity here. I think there's a business in this.
Did you get your contractor's license? Did you have to get like an electrician? Like how did that go about?
I started the business as like historic handyman. So
Okay.
I was like, all I had to do is pay the city of Orlando like $50 and be like, I have an occupational license.
Yep.
And I just can't do anything that requires pulling a permit. And so after doing that, that was 2010. And then in 2015, I got my state contractor's license.
Cool.
So it took a few years of working for some other people too on the side. So I had my company, but I had to work for other contractors to get the work experience required, and then sit through those grueling, awful tests.
Yeah,
which
We know
for
those.
sure.
Yeah, we do.
ultimately,
But
for
we love
contractors,
you, DPR. We love you so much. Yeah.
So 2015. So what year was Austin Historical born? Technically,
2010.
2010. But
Yep.
you were a handyman.
Yep.
But you already did you have a vision for what this was? Obviously, not what today is, but did you have an idea, goals?
Absolutely, and none of those are what I'm doing right now.
What were some of the original? What were?
Well, I was like, so I started in 2010, and a friend of mine was a realtor and was like doing a lot of, would call me and be like, would you do a foreclosure trash out for us? And I was like, sure. A few $100s, like clear it out. I was like, maybe I find some tools or some fun stuff in here.
Mhm.
And I thought, I'm going to start this business, and I'll do some handyman stuff on the old buildings, but I'll also get to know when a house has foreclosed, because, hey, this is 2009, 2010. There's still a lot of foreclosures on the market making their way through. And I thought, I'll get first dibs. I'll get to go in and look at these old houses and see if it's something I want to buy, fix up, restore, and flip.
Yeah.
Never did a single one. Like all the foreclosures I went to none of them were old houses.
But how many fix and flip seminars did you go to?
None.
None?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause
No.
like,
Well, it's
Good,
a
good,
I mean,
good, good.
yeah,
I don't know how
good.
much you want to count YouTube. So I listened to a lot of those, but I didn't feel qualified for it. And I wasn't willing to do it with debt. So I was a big no debt guy. And I was like, if I'm going to try this, I need to have the cash to do it, because I don't really know what I'm doing. And I know that debt just multiplies either your stupidity or your knowledge. And so I was like, I'm pretty green on this and I don't want to really screw it up and get my family in trouble. So
Yeah.
we're going to try it. And I just never had enough cash to do it and never found the right project. So we stuck with fixing other people's houses.
Is it just you on your workforce now?
Oh,
No, we have 32
massive.
people right now.
Holy moly!
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness
Yeah.
gracious!
That was wild.
Yeah.
That was that's a weird transition
You're a
to
boss.
get to. Yeah.
Oh.
Like literally, you're the boss now.
Yeah. So explain to our listeners
Yeah. Holy cow.
what the business looks like today, and then we can go backwards a little bit.
Sorry.
So today we're 32 people. We're here based in Orlando, but we work all throughout the Southeast. So we have, we're set up, we do a team of teams thing, which that's a great book, by the way, Team of Teams. And it was kind of the inspiration for that, where I went, the military is set up very much like that and it works. You don't just have like a general telling 5,000, privates, here's what you're going to go do. It was
Right.
like, there's layers of command, there's squads and then you've got companies and all kinds of structure in it. And so that's what we set up because I grew the business to a
Are you a
point
veteran?
where, no, not at all.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm a huge fan of the military. It's a very efficiently run
Yeah.
organization
Yeah.
for some things. And so I looked at it and went, this is brilliant. I was like, that's what we need to do. So we've broken into 5 teams. We have a carpentry team that builds any replica historic windows, doors, trim, moldings, all the stuff that you can't find at Home Depot or some other place. They build it custom to order. And then we have 4 other teams that go out and travel the Southeast just restoring windows and doors and all the accoutrement that goes with it.
And that was born out of a need for expanding, because I know Orlando probably has a limited number of historic buildings and historic homes to restore. So you're probably like, let's go outwards.
And it's a market too, because Window World will sell you windows for like $200, and our windows are like $2,000. So it's like we don't fit in every demographic, every neighborhood.
Right.
So there has to be like enough value in the real estate to go, well, it's $50,000 worth of window restoration. Sure. If your house is worth $150, it really doesn't make any sense. But if your house is worth $1 million, there's like, well, that's a drop in the bucket in terms of the building value. So sure, I would do that. And our cost is what it is. The further you get from Orlando, it costs more because, we're sending our crews out there. But we started having to expand, because Orlando had a decent amount I could probably have a 8-person company here in Orlando. But as we wanted to keep growing it, I realized that we were going to have to go elsewhere. So that was South Florida and West, all through Florida. So we're Key West. We've gone to DC, Atlanta, and out into the Panhandle.
So let's go backwards a little bit, because it was just you, the historic handyman, right?
Yep.
When did you hit that growth? And we came from the same world of like, I'm an actor, ha ha ha, and now you're a business owner.
So that's
which
like
is-
night and day.
Yeah,
Completely
so
different.
Right.
You
You had to kind of hide that a little bit.
I know, right?
So what do you do? I own this company. Oh yeah, is that all you do?
Yep.
That's the only thing.
Please don't come see me in a
Can
Nemo.
you high kick?
I used to.
I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah. So when did
No, but I do have
when did
32
you
bars.
blow up? Like when did it become a point where it's like, oh, I need to hire multiple people? And
So
yeah,
I used to do what I call the reverse Superman a lot for the first couple years, where I would get the team started and be like, all right, you guys are good. I'd have like 2 to 4 people the first few years. And first year and a half was just me. And then I started hiring some people, and I needed to hire, I had a good kind of like site supervisor and some green helpers. And he would make sure everything was done. But I'd be like, you guys are good. Here's what we're doing. Okay. I'm going to go up to Disney and do a few shows. And then I'll come back and check on you at the end of the day. So, in the morning I'd put on my like contractor attire, and then I'd show up, I'd like change in the car into something. So I wasn't like walking into work with jeans and flannels every day and work boots. And I show up and I do a couple
dual
shows
life.
with some puppets, and then, do a little this, a little sing and dance, a little makeup. And then I'd come back and be like, how we doing? I forgot one time to wipe off my makeup before I showed up at a job site. And so I had like these big sideburns painted down the
yeah, we
sides
know
of
the
my
sideburns.
face. I was
Yep.
like, that was really awkward. Sorry.
I've gone to
As the
Publix
client
like
was
that.
just looking at me, and I was like, I don't understand. And I got home and I was like,
Oh,
dude.
I've gone to Publix with my Gaston sideburns more times.
Oh yeah, the eyebrows. I
than
forget the
would
eyebrows.
like to
Yeah.
admit.
Well, I would paint the little chin butt.
Oh yeah, I
here
like
too.
that.
Yeah.
I had to do that.
People
too.
are always like, what's
So
happening?
what year did you go full time into what? I mean, I was part of it. I feel like I was there. But what year was that? When this is my new.
So
thing.
I quit. I quit my full-time gig at Disney in 2014. So 4 years into it, like right after. I was very grateful. I was at Disney for 10 years. I was grateful to have them pay for the birth of my first child and for the healthcare for that, health insurance. And then I quit 4 or 5 months after that.
Okay.
And went into it.
I remember that was a big day. It was a big day.
That was frightening.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. It was a big deal. And I didn't really take, I didn't take anything from the company the first 5 years or so. I was like, really, my wife was amazing and supported me in it and was like, you know, we can get by for a little while. I believe that you're going to get this to where it can get there. But you know, there were several years where it was like, I own a company. I've got 12, 13 people working for me and I'm making 30 grand. And I'm like, this is not exactly the dream. I just cut my salary in half.
Your vision probably had to change at that point. Like even when you started making profit, you were probably like, oh man, this is not where I want to be. This is not what I want to make. So your vision probably changed and it was like, I have to go further out.
It really has morphed over the years. And so has my, like I especially, I was talking to my wife about this recently, like my view of what's possible even in the last couple of years has changed. So a lot of times it was, you know, like, what's the next step? The next step is here. And then as I looked at it, I was like, I think I'm capable of more. And when I started to believe that I was capable of more, then it was like, okay, I'm going to go like work towards that. I'm going to study this a little bit more. I'm going to read up on this a little bit more and try and be a better boss, a better business owner. And I wanted to build something that was scalable, and I never wanted to build a job. I always wanted to build a business that, like, now I go in once a week and they're good. They've got it. I have a COO that runs it. I don't even have to go in once a week, but I do to like talk with him. I go to, talk. I do like an all hands, like inspirational meeting with my crew. Let's go take the mountain. Let's go.
So now your job is basically point the needle.
Yeah. It's mission, vision, and values is what my job is now. So I haven't scraped the paint off a window in a few years. I can still do all those things.
How do you find that talent? That's a really specific talent of restoration. Do you teach them? Do they come in completely green, or do you kind of headhunt?
That's the hardest thing, right? Hiring right now for just about any business owner,
because you have to
especially in the trades. Yeah, nobody. I've had one person come to me who's like, I have a degree in historic preservation, like hands on, and I was like,
you're hired. I don't care who you are.
You do exist.
You're my COO.
Yeah.
Well, I worked for Scott we did a couple jobs together. I remember trying it and I was like, man, this is completely different from anything. Yeah. So
it's totally different. It's
what's your hiring and training process look like for?
We have somebody who is called our quality control manager. They're in charge of quality control, obviously, like making sure everything, because our teams, we have different teams, but I want everything to look like it comes out of one company. So it's not like, oh, that's John's team and that's Sarah's team. Look, they look totally different. No, it should be the same company stuff.
Right.
But she's also in charge of all our training. And we'll hire carpenters and painters, and then we hire lots of greenhorns who don't know anything about this stuff, but are interested. There's a lot of people who it's a second career. They're like, I've sat behind a desk for 10, 15 years. I'm tired of it. I want to get out. I want to do something. I don't see anything tangible from my work.
Right.
I got paid well, but now I get to step out. And when I leave the job site, I'm like, I did that house and I did that house.
Yeah.
And you drive around town, you're like, this is beautiful.
It's very, very cool. And it speaks, not many places you can do that. And
no, that was hard for me as a performer. I was like, the only evidence as a stage performer, because I didn't do film really, was my resume.
Right.
And a few pictures that I had, it was like, that was it. But we trained them for at least 90 days is like to get them to, you're not costing us money, right? Like, because you don't know any of this stuff. Nobody knows how to putty glaze anymore or do some of the specifics.
So base level of acceptability.
You have to be able to do the job, though not with excellence within 90 days. And then our goal is to get them to what we would call a journeyman restoration or craftsman by 9 months at the minimum. And that's like a large investment in us. Like it's on the job training, but there's still a lot of training going on the side.
Well, it's like golf, right? I mean, you have to take it. You have to learn how to do it. It is a craft.
Yeah.
Because old things, because I've taken apart a player piano and like, I'm going to restore this. And I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what I'm doing. This thing is so complicated and so minute in the details. And even the way that they like did it, the practice of how they glued things and put things together.
Is that
reverse engineering it? That's for me, that was the fun part, is like, look at this, be like, okay, this window was built in 1850 and I'm taking it apart and I'm seeing how they put this together. And
there's not a lot of literature on it.
No, there's nothing out there.
There's no YouTube video.
Like anybody who did it was dead. So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, if somebody wrote it down, there's a few books. We use something called Old Audles guides, which were before there were building codes. There was these books that were like, here's how you build stairs. Here's how you frame a house. Here's how you put siding on.
Hmm.
And it's great because most of them follow it. But then in other places, it's a guy who didn't do that and was like, I can figure it out.
Just did it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just local builders that went, this is how we build in my town.
Yeah.
And it worked.
When you do it on scale like that, obviously every home was built very differently, like you just said. Do you guys have systems in place to do that, or is it like, do you have somebody that goes in and be like, oh, this is way different, let's undo it and kind of take a look at it? How does that work?
We are like, if you're going to run a business that's not going to be just a job for you, you got to have systems and processes.
Right.
And then you have to have people trained on those systems and go, this is how we do. So for our, say, a typical window restoration, we have times broken out by every little step that it's going to take, but those are averages. Nobody comes to me and complains. We're like, we had way more time to do this. But they'll complain when they're like, this was harder. I was like, yep.
Yeah.
And guess what? The next job
early.
will be a little bit early. It will be a little bit easier. It's like,
Right.
it's a mix. So I know that as a whole, we're going to have some jobs where like, wow, we just lost some money on that job. But there's others who are like, how do we finish so quick and so efficiently? Right. So it blends out in the average, in the aggregate. But I know that on a job by job, it's tough for us. But we're always trying to look at it and see. So we've got set times and processes. We have documented all our SOPs to be like, these are the primers we use. These are the paints. This is the putty. This is how we do what we do.
Right.
And we have all those times, and our craftsmen are required to, they know the times. They're like, hey, deglaze a one light window. That means take the glass out of the wood sash. That should be 21 minutes. Give or take, right?
Yeah,
but that's what you're aiming for. And if you can be above that, then you can hit that time consistently. You're a journeyman. And we hit those pretty well, but our blend works. We know there's jobs we lose money and there's jobs we make money. In the end, it blends out at the end of the year.
Right.
Now, something that you do that you started implementing long ago, but has probably helped you more recently now that our culture has changed and eyes are on the iPads now, is that you are kind of being the voice of historic restoration. Like you have a big online presence. You have a blog now that's kind of blown up. You've written several books. So I feel like you're filling that void of information on historic preservation, because we're realtors and I show old houses all the times. And a lot of time people don't they want an old house and everybody loves the idea of an old house, but they don't know how much work, dedication and love that it takes to kind of get it back to working how it should and preserve it. So how did that come to be? Like, how has it helped you now in your career?
Man, it's funny. It was just out of laziness, which sounds weird to start a blog out of laziness, but I'd get the same questions over and over. And I was like, I am tired of writing an email to answer this again. I will write a blog post. I will put it on the internet. And then when somebody asked me, I'd be like, here's the link.
Send the link.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I was like, this is just, it was just supposed to be a reference of questions that I would get asked most often. And then I started to enjoy it a bit. And I was like, okay, well, this is kind of fun. I was like, this is great. And then I would watch other people's content. And there's one guy in my space named John Leake, who's been doing windows for window restoration for 50 years, which is about as long.
How you doing, man? Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, John.
I don't know that he'll be listening to this. He's like in a cabin in Maine, but he would post stuff on YouTube, but it was very Bob Ross. Like it was a dark room. I'm like, I don't know how he set it up. It's a dark room with an easel and he's restoring the window and he's like loving the window. And it's stuff that would make no sense in business, but it's a beautiful craft. Yeah. And I was like, I could watch a 30-minute video by him. And I was like, I could boil that down to 3 minutes and give people the information it's information rich. I was like, but people want to know this, but nobody's going to sit through that video, I don't think.
Right.
And he and I have talked about it. I was like, your stuff is awesome. Your testing has been for decades. So I was like, I'm just taking that and repurposing it and doing it myself and going like, let me put this in a new way that makes sense to people that you're going to have younger generation actually listen to this and not watch about you painting a sash. Right. This sash needs a little friend right here. It's just not going to happen.
That's the window into the YouTube stuff. Those 3-minute videos, those 30-second clips.
Yes.
It's like the window into that information.
Yes. Nice pun too, by the way.
Yeah.
And then you can do the longer form content for people who really want to get into it. So that was where I would do the shorter ones and then we put together a class. So I have an online class that was like, if you really want to learn window restoration, cost a bunch of money, took a bunch of time to film, basically I think it's like 12 hours of instruction of watching me fully restore a window start to finish. And they can go through that and it ties in, you get my book and all the stuff. And so the blog was just out of laziness and then it kind of expanded and it was unexpected. It was really fun how that grew and helped my business. Cause I was like, I'm going to point this back to the business, I'm going to help give you some free content. And then hopefully you'll be like, I trust this guy because I'd use that and it was good. And so now I'll hire him. And then I feel like also too, a lot of people, our best clients are the ones who try to do it, who try to restore something. And they're like, oh, I did it. It took me 6 weeks to restore one window. Okay, now I'm going to hire you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Check.
That was tough.
Yeah.
But the other people who are like, how hard can it be? And you're like, it's just really laborious.
What is the most historic job that you've ever done? Have you ever done like an old library or an old like an old mansion or something like that?
We've got to do some really cool projects, which now for me at this point is kind of the fun like part of like, oh, you're bidding on that. Okay, what can I help you? When I see our salespeople out there, I'm like, that looks great. I want to go look at it. Okay. So we did, the first larger one we did was the Amtrak station downtown, or just south of downtown here, 1926 train station. And that was our first commercial project.
The doors on that one.
Yeah, you helped me with the doors, which was really fun
was cool.
and scary too for like doing our first big commercial project. But we've done the some of the Ringling family buildings, like the Caples Mansion out in Sarasota.
Nice.
We did full restoration of all their windows and doors. We did one that almost put my company under. And so it took a few years to dig out from that because it was one of the, like, they all kind of balanced. This did not balance. This one like just was like, let's see how much cash we can siphon off of the business. And that was the Prince Charles Hotel. So it was 500 windows up in North Carolina on like an 8-story hotel. And it was really cool at the end how it was done. I didn't like how much money we lost on it, but other than that, it was a really fun experience.
Yeah.
But we do a ton of like historic home museums around here, some Frank Lloyd Wright properties and stuff, because there's a bunch out in Lakeland. And really each of these old houses, especially the older they get, the more fun it is for me to see like what the story is. So like old schoolhouses from the 1800s and stuff. And you just go into these old buildings, you're like, everything from that time is gone, right? There's no people from then. There's pictures, but it's all black and white. But it's like you get to put your hands on the history and go into these old buildings from 1700s or 1800s, and you're like, this was here when Florida was founded, or when it was a backwater, and you're like, there's nothing
before
there.
Disney,
but this was still here.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of fun.
Before electricity. Like,
yeah.
It's wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why is Orlando so special to have this business? Because you could go anywhere you wanted to, but this is still your home base, right?
Yeah.
So, and what's so special about Orlando and the historic buildings and homes here?
I mean, I feel like being in Orlando, I feel like God set us up really well here that I did not expect. Orlando is not, when people hear your historic restoration in Orlando, they're like, what do you like?
What do you
work
doing
on?
there?
At
There's
Epcot
old
Pavilion?
stuff.
Like, what are you doing there?
Right.
That's from the
You did Norway
80s.
at Epcot, right? Yeah.
You work in a museum?
Yeah. So like, because they don't think
When's
of the
Blizzard
historic.
Beach opening?
Yeah. We restored the ski jump. But it really has 7 historic districts here. So there's a lot of old Orlando. It was built up decently in the 1920s. There's a ton of 20s housing stock here. There's a lot here, but we're also centrally located to a lot of places. So it makes it easier to work in West Palm Beach, where there's history, or in Sarasota, or to go up to Jacksonville, where there's a ton, St. Augustine, where there's just crazy history. We're in that, if 20 years ago I had moved to Jacksonville, I couldn't afford, nor could the clients afford, to do the work in Key West, because they're like, well, that's like a 12-hour drive now. It's like, so we're as centrally located as we really can be to the whole state, and it makes it a great setup for us to work on any of Florida's history. And there's a lot of history here. Most of these companies that do what I do are up in New England, where there's you can throw a rock and hit 5 window restorers. Yeah. But here it's great because I'm in a really, really small niche, but we're kind of the only ones in the niche, and it to be frank, it pisses some people off. I get, because they're like, well, that's expensive and you're the only person, so that's not fair. I was like, I'm not saying it's fair. I was like, I'm not trying to. Right? I was like, it's we're very, very transparent in our pricing. It's just laborious. It takes a lot of labor hours. We're not a software company where it's like, I just decided that I built this and now I'm going to sell it and it requires no work for me. I was like, I'm paying people good salaries to do this.
Yeah, but you're giving them the home that they invest in is their biggest investment, I'm sure, right?
That's why they bought the home.
Why would they want to? That's why they bought that old home, because there's plenty of new homes to pick from, and they chose that older home for a reason, because they love it. Yeah. So why wouldn't they want to spend the money to refurbish it and restore it and make it look just as beautiful? Why they bought it, right?
It's tough, as you guys know, in real estate. Is like, what's the value of? I'm going to sell my house in the future if I spend $50,000 on restoring my windows. what's the value of that? What's the ROI?
Right.
There is none.
Yeah, it's like I can't. It looks nicer, right? If they're all peeling and rotten. I don't know what the number is, but there's a lot of those things. Remodeling value would be like, oh, a kitchen will return about 70% of what you put into it.
Right. Yeah.
You're like, I can't give you a number for that, other than the peace of mind to be like, these old windows we'll take them and we will make them meet the current energy codes. We can do that with these old ones, and they'll last another 100 years. We weather strip them. Nothing was weather stripped down here. Nobody had air conditioning.
Right.
The windows were open 24/7, 365.
Yep.
And so we put weather stripping on them. We upgrade the glass if they want.
They look amazing.
And then they're restored and they're beautiful, and they operate with like 2 fingers up and down. It was such a brilliant
system
design.
I remember.
Yeah.
It's so simple. Yeah,
it's not complicated at all. And that's one of the things I love about it. It was like, I'm a very simple person. I'm like, this is great. It's just wood, putty, and glass. That's all we have. There's ropes with a big chunk of iron in the wall, and that's what balances it. And it's not like this is the proprietary spring that Anderson made from 1996 to 2003 that they no longer make. And so your window will never open again. You're like, no, does anybody have rope? Yes. Okay. Let's
boom.
Now your window opens again.
That's cool. So 7 historic districts. Which one's your favorite?
Well, it has to be the one I live in, right? So like
Doesn't have to
Cherokee,
be.
it does. That's why I live there.
Wait. Let's go back. 7 historic districts. What are they in Orlando? What are
So you've got a mix. There's 6 local districts
Okay.
that our city of Orlando says these are historic districts. You can, if you live in here, you have restrictions on what you can do to the outside of your house. Nothing to the inside. You can do whatever you want inside. So let's see if I can name them all. I'm on the board. I should know all of them. Lake Lasona, Fern Creek. There is Colonial Town South. There is Lake Eola Heights. There is Lake Cherokee, Lake Copeland, and the Downtown Historic District.
Okay.
And then there are a couple of National Register historic districts, which they're on the National Registry, which doesn't really mean squat other than, yay, we're historic, but there's no restrictions on you.
Okay.
You can get tax credits if you're a business there and you want to renovate the building. So that's kind of nice. You have to be in the National Registry. And there is Paramore is a historic district, National Register. There's also one in College Park.
Gotcha. Got it.
Historic district. And Lake Eola Heights is both a national and a local one too. But there's also there's like 100 landmarks that the city of Orlando has said this building is not in the district, but it's a special building, and that's a landmark. You can't mess with that either.
Gotcha. We're gonna wrap up soon, but I want to if people want to reach you, because your blog, it's your blog, but really it's become Instagram now because you have so many followers on Instagram. It's actually insane. How many followers you got now?
64,000.
Woo!
It's all the shutters. Right.
Your shutter posts are hilarious.
Yeah.
Is that you
that's when
still, or
viral-
do you leverage that up? It's
I
still
have
you?
a problem with shutters. Yeah,
It's so funny, man.
I'll show houses and I'll take pictures of bad shutters and I'll be like,
Oh,
does
you'll
this
send it
count?
to him?
Yeah,
Awesome.
And he's
I'll
like,
do
oh
that
yeah, it's
too.
going in the. It's going
Yeah,
in the
every day.
pipeline.
Was it every day? Or
every
is it
Sunday, Shutter Sunday.
Shutter Sunday.
Sunday.
He just posts like random ugly shutters. Like,
I just
why?
can't stand.
I mean, it's crazy.
People forgot what shutters were. It
Terrible
was like
shutters
shutters
are.
are supposed to shut, right? And
Right.
cover the window.
Oh,
and then
they're
there's
like-
like
now
these
it's
little
like a
pencil thin
decorative-
things on the side of a bay of 6 windows. You're like, what is that?
Oh, yeah.
so funny.
I think I saw shutters on the outside of a garage, like framing a garage.
Yes.
Like,
and they go like
dude,
halfway down the garage. You're like,
yes.
what are you doing?
Like, what are you gonna do?
I also love how you just like circle it with like badly and point an arrow too.
Yeah, I
It's
circle
not-
it and just put fail.
Yeah, it's so funny.
And then people, it's so funny. As you do anything online, there's always people who get mad. They're like, that's mean.
Yeah.
You're insulting them.
You shouldn't shutter shame.
No, that's what it is. They're like, maybe these people can't afford
Shutter
nice
shame
shutters.
it.
It's like,
Saturday.
listen, it's not it's not shaming them that they can't afford it. It was like, you don't have to buy fake plastic shutters. So
No.
they should have saved their money from that
And just not had them.
and not had
Not
them.
even had 'em.
You can take them off your house too.
Yeah.
If they're that
Yes.
cheap.
Where do,
Just pop those puppies
What is your
off.
Instagram handle for that?
At the Craftsman blog.
Okay,
At
and then
the
you have
Craftsman
Austin.
blog.
You have Austin Historical on Instagram
We do.
as well.
Yeah, at Austin
Yeah,
Historical
how do people,
on
if people
Instagram
want
too.
to contact you to restore their house, what's the best
That's
way
the
to
easy
do
way.
it?
If you're anywhere in the Southeast and you want to get your windows or doors restored or anything, that's at Austin Historical. You can message us there, or you can shoot us an email, info@austinhistorical.com. And then if you want to talk to me, all the schnark on the Craftsman blog is me.
It's
So,
you.
Yes,
It's you.
at the Craftsman
All right.
blog. Yeah.
We also do rapid fire, Orlando rapid fire.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're gonna go. There's no wrong answer.
I kind of feel like
Let me
there
pull
has
it
to
up.
be, right?
Well, we judge you.
No, we
yes,
fully judge
like
you.
we will judge you, but there's no wrong
Judgment's there,
answer.
but there's no wrong answers here.
No wrong answers. All right, you guys ready for this?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam. All right, I'll start it off.
Go.
All right. Back roads or toll roads?
Toll roads.
Disney or Universal?
Disney.
Legoland or Gatorland?
Legoland.
Crooked Can or the wine room?
Ooh, crooked can.
Coffee or tea?
Tea, always.
Back roads or toll roads?
We did that.
Oh, we did. Zoom
What
or
if
in
I
person?
answered that differently this time?
Oh, man.
Depends the mood, right?
Yeah,
If it's
it's
for work,
true.
it's toll road.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
I'm just on a vacation, it's like, I'll take the back roads.
True. Icon Park or Old Town?
Neither.
Oh, hard tacos or soft tacos?
Hard tacos.
Sunny's or Four Rivers?
Four Rivers.
Restaurant Row or Park Avenue?
Ooh, Park Avenue.
Favorite Orlando winter? Haven Park.
Oh.
Garden Springs.
I was like,
I know.
don't-
This is a good one.
2014. It was so nice. Park.
Okay.
And last one, Space Mountain or Splash Mountain?
Space Mountain.
Space
There you
Mountain.
go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dude, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah.
Thanks
You
for
are-
having
Thank you
me.
so much, Scott.
It's
It's
been
so good to get to
fun-
hang out
fun
with you
watching
guys.
you grow too, man. It's really cool what you're doing for
Well,
the
it's
for the
a-
community and for
Mhm.
for everybody. But we really appreciate you having it. on.
It's a blast. Thanks for having me out.
Yeah, man.
Heck
Thanks
yeah.
for being here.
Follow Crafts and Blog because it's pretty great.
Yeah.